wondering what happened to Tecumseh. Ain't trying to pay, but I wanna see a new day. With no direction, can you point me to a new way? Baby, you know I be kicking my shit when I'm flying, cause baby the new pay. Never say my name in vain, but believe me, go to heaven with a toothache. I'm living the world, creating new babies to tell me to do days. Look, everything that I do in my life, I do it for you, babe, yeah. It won't be easy just getting in front of flights. They steady and begging when I used to run the whole Indian country. Ohio and Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota. Created prophet town in Indiana and my holy river named Minnehoka. Colonizers try to keep their foot on our necks. Trust me, we don't need a joker. So much has been lost, so much blood spilled down. I think we really need a donor. Yeah. Living a life where it's wonderful evil. That fires be out for blood and they look like a couple mosquitoes. They have to relocate to Canada just like they done in Totilo. Paying attention to spiritual bugs and one of the Beatles. Yeah, I hope you be up in the right mind. If you gotta be out in the woods, don't be whistling at night time. If you look up in the sky, can you please tell me when you see the right sign? If you see the morning star way before it rise, you might see a bright shine. Shooting star in the sky when I'm flying, no bound, no wonder in Panthers. When Americans make the Star Spangled, I'm the one on the banner. Bitch, I'm Native American, yeah. Hope it ain't too late. Everybody wondering what happened to Tecumseh. Ain't trying to pray, but I wanna see a new day. With no direction, can you point me to a new way? Baby, you know I be kicking my shit when I'm flying, cause baby the new pay. Never say my name in vain, but believe me, go to heaven with a toothache. I'm living the world, creating new babies to tell me to do days. Look, everything that I do in my life, I do it for you, babe, yeah. The shit ain't go deep if I start to explain why I'm looking deranged. The cellular sound like Haël'ho Dah Yalahue just took everything. Decapitated all my people just to take a look at the brain. And see the God gene and Native Americans put in the flame. Guerrilla warfare, bows and arrows, and we still got a lot of ammo. They depicted our history wrong, cause we ain't look like the Safari Channel. Sending messages through a smoke signal, so I stay with a lot of candles. Living my whole life abandoned, but the house I live in is not abandoned. Lost my damn bones, then it got me all scattered away. God body is passing the day, the long houses is where records to stay. You was drunk off of the liquor, you had you a gallon of drink. I'm DoelowDaPilotman, you thought you see me just pass on the plane? This shit in my heritage, all of my blood and it passed through my veins. I ain't stuck in the past, but I really don't care about what happened today. I'm planning to harvest the corn and you know I be packing some maize. I wanna go back to the villages how we did back in the day. Oh yeah, hope it ain't too late. Everybody wondering what happened to Tecumseh. Ain't trying to pray, but I wanna see a new day. With no direction, can you point me to a new way? Baby, you know I be kicking my shit when I'm flying, cause baby the new pay. Never say my name in vain, but believe me, go to heaven with a toothache. I'm living the world, creating new babies to tell me to do days. Look, everything that I do in my life, I do it for you, babe, yeah.
I found my bones. Let's get into some actual history. We're going to be real logical. We're going to be real direct. We're going to be real understanding. And we're going to mix some honor in there and teach you about actual history on this land. If you don't know how things is built, things is constructed, why this is named that, why that is named this, and where aliens came from. You know what I'm saying? To get all this shit. Was God an alien? Was angels an alien? Might have been somebody's culture. Might have been a foreigner. Might have been a foreigner say, I'm that, what y'all believe in y'all culture and stuff like that. And I'm going to name it a title. God. I'm going to name Power and the Sword. Bucket Hat Spaceship. And it's my land. It's in New Jerusalem. And I said, you start, oh, okay. Oh, what? Pouring the knowledge in your brain. You're going to learn about the Bible today. You're going to learn about reality today. You're going to learn about landmass today. You're going to learn about human rights today. You're going to learn about circle. And you're going to learn how we all could come together back to peace. And it's just that simple, bitch. It's just that simple. You know what I'm saying? So whoever y'all get lost in and all y'all spookiness and stuff like that, we can make it unspooky. Then we made something simple. Then you can go deep and make it spooky. It won't be spooky at that point. You're a little bit more close, tapped into whatever we pointing to and be like, that's spooky. It ain't. No, it's like, whew, whew, what was that? Whew, oh, you landed in America, you got on the boat. Pretty much that was it. If you want to, what was that? You got off the boat, you landed in a new world. Ever since then, been getting invaded. So before we get into it, we got to get your mind right and get your head clear so you can understand what context and how things is being formulated. So you can also understand before any Native American Indian, it ain't Indian, Indian is Indian. So with the I pronounced as the E sound, that lets you know it's Native American language. I mean, nobody, somebody else's was something different. So that lets you know it's an interpreter language. Once we get certain French, if you go on Google and you see certain French or Britain or this word was made in Greek, anytime you see Greek, that means Native Americans creating a pig settler interpreter language with the Muskogee Creek. If you hear Hebrew, or Hebrew is just an encapsulation of once they encapsulated all of us and updated it and then start colonizing other parts of the world in the mid and early 1900s. Because pretty much over here, coming up to like the early 1900s, the Native Americans was the most populated and the main players over here, all the way to the early 1900s. So you have to understand that too. It's not settlers coming over here and being more powerful. It's them trying to understand what we already had established for thousands and thousands and thousands of years since the beginning of time. So for the most part, we was a government, just like if you was to see someone right now had a country and they started to get third world country dope, but let's say they was a powerful entity as a whole country. That's how we was. You know what I'm saying? So don't get it fucked up. And that's what sachems is. That's what chiefs are. This remix thing that they doing is called what they're calling a president. So you need to understand that too. And so, damn, I know I should have did that first. Let me use the restroom real quick so we can break it down. I got that habit. I came back and put it out. What the hell I do that for? We live in action. Before 12 minutes, we're going to get into all the aspect. We're going to get into the alien. And shout out to everybody. Because, I mean, these are dope things to understand, too. Shout out to William Harrison and his generation. And, what's homeboy name? Jeremiah. And his son that went ahead and did what they had. And like at this time, we all running around like chickens with no head. So this is what y'all have to understand too. Get clear, because this is when you really understand spirituality, mentality, and physicality, but not fully understanding what mind we in, and just learning is about some spiritual shit at this time. So yeah, a lot of physical mistakes was done. You know what I'm saying? On both ends, on all parties. But, you know, just more on another end based upon you see us being more of the fallen people. But at the same time, just based upon the spiritual concept, everything is in reverse. Maybe more of the adult spirits as time be going on also, to be more mentally or comprehended and mentally aware of things that's just beyond what we physically see in nature, to align it with our actual nature and to help people understand as time go on, things get more rooted for you to have confirmation of shit. So for the most part, before there's any form of Indians being moved westward, there was just settlers, aka pilgrims, and / the Americans settling. So they had a good 70 to 100 years to kind of blend in and learn us and develop that kind of like George Washington concept. You know what I'm saying? Manifested destiny. But before then, they already had like some type of Bible concept of them playing God. But before us Native Americans looked at it like it's just men trying to play rulership. And if they could take over something, this is where slavery coming from. So it's beyond race. We create the spiritual concept that they're involving themselves in, coming over here on our land and the culture. And this is what they're trying to get rid of Native American history for, because they know that we was the main player. But besides all that, we don't want to take it to a negative end. But like I said, so as settlers coming over here, before we kind of know what's going on, we just know we got a history dealing with settlers wanting to live here based on a previous history of settling and trade routes, but you going back home. not you looking at this place like a place you wanted to stay. So, you know, there's a lot of information being relayed to the things that's over here based upon trade routes. And when you go back home, what you already doing in Africa and stuff like that. And that's for y'all freedmans and or freemans, y'all kind of more on this end. Now, y'all been here too long and a lot of y'all got Native American in y'all. So y'all kind of mixed up a little bit and have to create some new kind of culture with the mixture of culture you do got from here and shit that's been from the trades and slave routes. But before but when we talk about Africans and stuff like that, yeah, that's for y'all to talk about. And Genghis Khan, that's for y'all Asians to talk about, and why y'all look like y'all beneath and in the same level as everybody else over here in America. That's for y'all to have. My channel is for my people to do that, but we all come together like that. You know what I'm saying? Now, here's the thing. So, as them coming over here, it's the Pilgrims / the Americans. Now, here's the thing. Based upon the history from good leading up to 70, let's say the mid 1500s to the mid 1600s, right? Late 1500s to late 1600s. You're getting the interaction of settlers coming more and more over here. Now, based upon building this relationship, you get a lot of issues too. Now, this is starting off on the East Coast before they inspire others by going back and forth from the trade route days. So the trade route days will be like the 1400s, 1500s. Nobody coming to live here. Don't believe that. They didn't come start living here until they start looking at it like it's profitable based upon the stuff over here. And based upon our generosity, it gave them the idea that they could kind of live here. You know what I'm saying? Because other areas wasn't like that. Everything was just business, Africa, Asia. But then here, kind of like you kind of got to stay your way. But if you kind of get friendly, hey, they're allowing us to live over here. You know what I'm saying? But it started off friendly. Don't Pilgrims, Americans, this is where you get the early Thanksgiving and stuff. But here's where you get the manipulation. But you might not got the right history, the starting point on the nuance. You know what I'm saying? Because that's going to lead into like 1500s up to the 1600s dealing with the East Coast. So the first form of moving westward ain't moving Native Americans westward. It's just settlers moving more westward. And Native Americans already being the main players over here, starting to feel like this is becoming an issue. So we dealt with the settlers a little bit before France got the idea, and all these other people got the idea and start invading the West Coast and the Great Plains and the Southwest and shit. You see what I'm saying? Not too long after, you know what I'm saying? This is ideas. We need to expand. It ain't not too far apart. We're talking about just decade type shit. We ain't talking about no 100 years apart. You know what I'm saying? So, here's the thing. Now that we got the Pilgrims and Americans starting to get the idea that they can bring more and more people over here as like we're friendly, here's where we don't want to be too friendly. So as we start to fight, as the red people and the blue people, blue blood and the red blood, we start to fight, not colorism, because we made dark and light people. We start to fight. Here's where you get Britain, right? And all this changing of Amsterdam after they changed it from Mahata and Lenape-Hoking and things of that nature, or Lenape-Hoking, because that spanned it from the East Coast into the Wampanoag and how they. So it's based upon when settlers is coming over here, they're building multiple relationships also as they move and encroaches in more and more westward from the East Coast, coming from wherever they're coming from, England or wherever the case may be. Britain got to come from the Canada line. So as we're building a relationship from 70 to 100 years, right, it become brother fight. Now here's where you get Britain. Britain is coming in to establish order. Right? So as Britain coming in to establish order, they're not so familiar with us as the Pilgrims. So learning our ways, that's what that means. But at the same time, coming here to keep things in order. So since the Pilgrims already know them, and then we're trying to understand what is British doing, this was allowing us to take Britain's side, because Britain is coming in an aspect like a police. They're coming in an aspect. Now this before we start to go through things and start to realize like, oh, every time we feel like we're getting help or protected by Britain, there's a mental manipulation going on with these settlers that keep coming over here that we're being frustrated with, that Britain seem like they know how to deal with better than us, so we can stop killing each other. And we stop raiding their boats and stuff like that. So here's the concept of forts, right? So Native Americans, everybody is involved in building forts. We're trying to build peace at this time. Don't let white boy tell you, well, watch these shoes because we won't get negative. tell you that they're the only ones building. At this time, they need our agriculture, and it blends in with our lifestyle, and then they're trying to develop a lifestyle over here. So this builds a relationship with Britain. Now, here's the thing. Once we go through a lot of interactions of trying to slow up fighting and come to peace, there's still a lot of fighting going on, but there's a lot of waking up of us getting manipulated, especially when it comes to the Haudenosaunee and them having a little bit more relationship than us over here in the Northwest territory, Ohio, Philadelphia, Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, Detroit. So for the most part, right, Mississippi. So Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, New York, getting hit with some type of mental manipulation while thinking Britain is there to create order, but not necessarily stopping things when it comes to manipulation thing. So here's where we get the Iroquois from dealing with the French and Britain a little more than us, Ohio, but at kind of like the same time, and kind of like making us feel like they're coons, but them telling us what's actually going on. And they're telling us that, you know, if you want to keep the land or whatever the case may be, they got products, or Britain, because we already trade with them and shit. But Britain is here to establish order, and this is our best decision to do. We really don't want to do what we're doing, being coons, coon heads. We actually called it that at that time. But at the same time, it's for our benefit if we want to stop these settlers, or at least establish some order over here. So this was making us say, well, fuck the Westward. We can make more forts, Now, the more and more we get manipulated and more settlers come in, and Britain don't seem like they're stopping it, right? Here's where we start to get conflicted. And some of us is taking, remind you, Pilgrims / the Americans was over here a little longer. So before we get to the late 1700s, you're dealing with people who know our ways, but also the same people of, now that we're starting to understand, oh, Britain is actually the Pilgrims' big brothers. This why it seemed like they don't be trying to fight with us all the time, and it seemed like we always involved in fighting each other as tribes and bands and getting confused and having these Pilgrims Americans take some of our side and then having us be like, well, really, this don't make sense no more. Y'all been told us this last time, and then us taking the Britain side to stop that and police, and then somehow the Pilgrims still is getting more land. So we like, hold on, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? So we like thinking now. But at this time, we already fighting each other. We fighting them. They fighting each other. It's like some weird shit. Until we start to understand, oh, I see what's going on. Britain is coming over here based upon the Pilgrims / Americans being over here a little bit longer than them, 70 years. And they're having an in-house fight that I guess Pilgrims is looking at it / Americans is looking at it like, no, we're the only ones want to live over here because this is our new world. Old world to us, new world to the Pilgrims. So now we getting the idea, oh, this is why they keep selling it over and over, and how they got the money for the boats in the first place. Oh, it's coming from Britain, and Britain coming over here to establish order, but they kind of the same. They're the same. So it's just little brother fighting big brother, and big brother using us to fight little brother, but little brother never in a fight. It's just Indians fighting each other. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so this was how the Pilgrims / Americans was able to like blend in into our culture, call themselves Jews, and start rocking everybody to sleep. Britain to sleep, us to sleep, wherever they came from, them people to sleep, and all of a sudden, we can't stop this flooding of the bucket hat coming over here now. So now we get into this situation, and they didn't move so much westward, and now it's so much of them. Now it's Indians in the way. Now we in the way on our own land now. You see what I'm saying? So now we get into the aliens. Now we get into the aliens, and that's why it appears that Britain don't necessarily dive deep into that masonry the way the extension of their government, which is their Pilgrims, came over here to blend in with our culture and spiritual system to create a copy of what we're doing already once you get rid of us. And that's what became masonry. And the people who get initiated to uphold it is what y'all call it Illuminati. But ain't really none of these names. This is the white boys that's part of the Mayflower Pilgrim shit. So they just go around the world manipulating everybody through relationships. So they came over here, manipulated our government and saying some shit and thinking they friends, getting funded by the very people we think that's protecting us from them. Then boom, they go, so they don't necessarily get harmed. This is how you get this rapper energy. If they make you a rapper, you be the person doing every pop the 1,000 pills the rapper do, but this person ain't never died or whatever like that. They use other ethnicities now to do this. You know what I'm saying? It's like weird. You know what I'm saying? So they went around the world doing this shit. So they infiltrate everybody's shit. Now look, now check this out. But they did us first. They did us dirty. They did us dirty. Before, when they was just over there, they was running away from just Britain having more power and then doing it on Africans and doing it on Arabs and shit like, you know what I'm saying? So when you get the whole concept that they was experiencing, here's where you get those Eastern continent names and cities that they're naming it based upon it ain't the land and the ocean. It's how hard I made people get down and lay down. And whatever I did, I named it my name. And since my forefathers and parents is retarded, none of us is tapped into the land. We just know how to take lands, and that's what it means to be something. And when we get across somebody else's spiritual system, we give it a title. Now we met Indians. We call it God because we want to be God over it. You see what I'm saying? So they took the spiritual system and start colonizing the rest of the world with a new way of calling it religion and a job. But that's why it seemed like Africans and Asians and everybody be wearing Native American clothes and calling themselves tribes and shit like that. Y'all got all that from Native Americans after being colonized. That's why y'all knowledge come from colonization itself. You know what I'm saying? So you got to understand it from that aspect. Just like the term Africa. It ain't Africa. So it ain't Spanish. It ain't England. It ain't none of that. It's our dialect. So we was interpreting things, and before they was already colonizing that. And then based upon getting the spiritual knowledge, they go there and update colonizing and stuff like that. And then now they got a name based upon copying us so much. This is why all the cities and states and street names is Native American language. Like English is literally 85% Native American if you ain't know no better. Literally. You know what I'm saying? They just plagiarize the words. Mahoney is Minnehokan. You know what I'm saying? So for the most part, when you're listening to it, you probably put yourself into a circumstance like, oh, this sounds English. We speak English over here. No, you speak Native American. You just speak a bastardized Native American. So they call it English and Spanish. But English and Spanish ain't nothing like this when you go over there in Spain, how they invaded us on the West Coast. And when you go over there in England, as far as English, and Queen Elizabeth, how they invaded us on the East Coast and things of that nature. So you got to look at it from that aspect. Now, when we get into once we're starting to realize this is their big brothers and this is what's funding them, Britain is not interested into that type of concept of shit. So for the most part, we get into them being funded, and now we get aliens like William Harrison, because when we get to the seventh flame, that's like them bringing their councils over here from the colonies and stuff like that, from the East Coast, and each city or each territory that a Native American ran, that's when they put in a governor, and the governor was the president. And they was going off of a template like a George Washington manifested destiny after they updated it from Moses and all this other type of shit. And then when you get into that situation, you start to understand the first couple of presidents are manifested destinies that they're updating. So you will start to see when George Washington died, it ain't a person dying, it's a law being changed. Then when the next thing, so once you get the first couple of presidents, the first presidents is just the generals who was running certain territories. So that'd be the person running Virginia, person who started running New York, who took it from the Lenape, the person who running Philadelphia, the person who started running Ohio, which is connected to Indiana, and things of that nature. And then that takes us into the alien, Henry Harrison, the demon and devil in the flesh. Right? His buddies, his young business buddies. Now, his young business buddies. So when we started thinking about the New Jerusalem, right? So the New Jerusalem is them bringing whatever they did in Africa, and they swear on these things to do it when they're taking over the Native American land. So they slowly but shortly plagiarize our culture and our terms and stuff. So this is like Jesuits coming to save souls, aka indoctrinate us in their culture that they're calling God as a title. But it's them just creating chattel slavery. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't what you think as a spiritual annotation of God. When you get into the spiritual annotation of it, it's Native American culture. You know what I'm saying? And we didn't call it the names that they replaced it and said, I'm your God. And this is what they actually said in these times. I'm your God. And the power of this sword. And then they start naming their shotguns. They start naming their swords. They start naming all this shit and say, yeah, I'm Jehovah. So Jehovah ain't going to save you. So anytime we go, they call us, they say we crying. Anytime we go, well, to the motherland and the father's breath, and then all the cycles within it and stuff like that, like Jehovah and stuff, and all the way down to however we go. And for the most part, we're just tapped into the land, and they're trying to replace all of our beliefs with a technology all the way to the weapon and shit like that. So you have to understand it within that concept. So this is their mind state when they come. A Jesuit ain't coming over here in peace. A Jesuit is coming over here saying, I'm God. And then they create Knight Templars and shit like that to protect these Jesuits and their family to come over here and settle. You get it? Like, I don't know what y'all thinking, but this history. You know what I'm saying? This history. We all trying to change. Now look. Now when we get into Indiana, Indiana, my bad. Now we came up with that as an interpreter. Remind you, y'all get too lost into white man power shit. I said something and y'all gotta believe it, so mote it be. But ain't nobody just sitting around in these times without no respect. It ain't no just white man come over here and say, I'm gonna name you Indians. And all the peace treaties that the actual main players as Native Americans, and it's more of us. You got to think about it. And this time, we looking at them and their military as weak, not the other way around. It's just they started to update, and that's how we got destroyed. So we're prisoners of war. So it's pig leg. It's us agreeing to terms. So like, yeah, okay, you call us Indians. We end the end. You know what I'm saying? This is our terminology, right? And you are the even American is just like a slur of Native American shit. It's just when when they started to come over here with they shit, Queen Elizabeth shit, we're mixing in to understand each other. That's where you get this broken English that's really 80% Native American. You see what I'm saying? But if you go truly in England, they tongue different and they words different. You see what I'm saying? They wouldn't even call India Indians. It wouldn't have been named that. And the people in India, I'm pretty sure they would have been naming themselves. So once somebody colonized, you're just getting a concept of white man named something. And then you so confused or institutionalized, you think that's the end all and be all of the world. If a white man ain't named something, then it ain't got nothing to do with you being logical. And everything about them is illogical, all the way to the point naming a land that you ain't tapped into. It's how hard you made somebody get down and lay down and name it after your last name, and your mother and father probably weren't even tapped into nothing. So everybody get confused even in that concept. Live a certain atmosphere, a person's thought on an environment it don't belong in, and everything becomes confusion on that land, not done right the way it's supposed to be in a natural culture building. I'm saying, and the father breath of that land and the mother that birthed the spirits of that seed be the native of the lands. Now, so now that they kind of making their big brothers be like, this the way we want to do things over here. They all white, so they just let them. It ain't that Britain couldn't take them over. Britain is still their big brother. They got us natives out the way. You don't think Britain could have still whitewashed French, and England they actually did whitewash French, but French kind of a little further away. It's really just dealing with English and Pilgrims, and that's their little brothers. So it's like, all right, we just let y'all have that with this little manipulation, politic president manuscript y'all got. I kind of like it. You know what I'm saying? I fund it. So you get King George creating the King James manuscript. And here's where you get cosplaying Native Americans, aka masonry, aka the synthetic version, to run these lands the way the Native Americans ran it. You know what I'm saying? So this is how you get the Republican, Democrat, the Senate. The Senate ain't nothing but practicing Seneca, the Seneca Native Americans, and a whole bunch of other different type of shit. The way how we built up our councils of fires and shit. So they just call it with their colonies and shit. So they're trying to be a better nation than us. They even start calling themselves a nation. All kind of weird shit, but put it all into metals and shit. Now, when you get into Indian territory, once that westward shit happened, it don't matter if you was even on the East Coast and Southwest and stuff. And before Tears of Trail shit, Indian country became more invested as all the Native Americans being squashed in and all the tribes being in Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Mississippi, Wisconsin, Detroit, and things of that nature. And us trying to figure out what we're going to do with ourselves in the middle of these things. Now, as the alien that's being the president at this time, this is Henry Harrison, William Henry Harrison. Now, his alien buddies, a little younger and stuff, was doing the business things. So these was the individuals who was over here saving souls that we was hitting upside the head with arrows. Well, and we weren't hitting them, but we was actually dealing more with, other than all the time Henry Harrison. So it'd be people like what's his name? Jeremiah, right? So this is what you need to understand too. When you're looking in the Bible, you're reading about generals, United States generals. These are their names that they're bringing from however they took over Africa and shit. You know what I'm saying? So they're bringing their world over here. So if they did this in Jerusalem, these people their descendants is trying to bring a new Jerusalem on somebody else's land. And it's always going to be about moving west, the new world over here. And so the only people they're fighting is the Native Americans. So here's how you get the Nephites fighting the other shit. That's just Mormons versus Native Americans, Jesuits versus Native Americans, cowboys versus Indians. This is all just remake. God versus the devil. It's the white man mind state of just going against Native Americans. You see what I'm saying? But for the most part, now you get these aliens bringing this magic square, city parameters. That's what a city parameter is. And trying to be the God over us and bring their city down in New Jerusalem and Indiana. Now, Indiana is just where the Indians, Indy, we made up that term, and Anna is Anna. That means mother that flows before and after. So that's on the land. So for the most part, that would be Indian land. That's just another term for Indian land, Indiana. Now, when you add, you think it's Indianapolis. No, it's Indiana-Polis. Polis is a separate term that a lot of the coons in the Muskogee Creek that was trying to control a lot of the bands in Cherokee and a lot of the bands in Catawba and stuff like that, right? Because we was extremely resistant. The Catawbas, we was the Watery, we had to take them into us. There was a lot of tribes in Yes-Wahare. That's 3 tribes itself in that one name. So I don't even know who even put that online. That it's weird, but we get it. But like I said, right? As they come and trying to change Jehovah into Jehovah and things of that nature, now they're dealing with the Huron, they dealing with the Susquehannock, they dealing with the area. They trying to put us all in a bunch. Shawnee, Chickasaw, Waccamaw. They putting us all in a box, right? They putting us all, but we still kind of more than them. So it's still Indian country. So I'm saying? So we still trying to create peace because they just showed us some shit we ain't trying to go through no more too. You know what I'm saying? This is how a lot of people became coons and shit in the southern part. You know what I'm saying? I said the Seminoles became coons at one time. Cherokee became coons at all the tribes. But this is just different. We ain't there yet. But like I said, right? Because I had to go wake them up, make them red sticks and stuff like that. Like, man, y'all don't be letting these cats come over here and do all this shit. But that's when they was dealing with other homeboy. He was the president down there. Damn, is it John Adams? Is it Henry Adams? Is like John, something like that? No, I forget homeboy name. It's all around the same time though. But he was this fucking up the Tuscaroras and shit, making them go east, fucking up the Seminoles, making them go south from the Carolina and the the Lumbee, the fucking up. No, that's a little bit before. I gotta go into all them tribes. There's a lot of different names that you gotta put together that they made confederations together. And even the Yamasee. Yamasee is a confederation of a collection of Native Americans. Really, all these names is a collection of Native Americans after we already getting our ass kicked and we trying to kick ass. And we all scattered trying to come together at this time. They don't got no track of no blood like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, really at all. And really, like, the main reservations be mainly going back to a dude in the colonists. The same way they did y'all Africans over here. They did this all the same. Don't think what I'm saying and they done to all of us. They did it to themselves at this point. All the new people that's here now, the M&Ms, the Vanilla Ices, they did this point. Man, this monster kicking ass. I gotta use the bathroom one more time. God damn. All right, yeah. Before we go to the main point, to understand it spiritually also, this is what you need to understand too. During this time, getting to like the late 1700s, early 1800s, right? We also start realizing that the Pilgrims / Americans, the funding that they're taking from Britain is allowing them to bring people with them as they settle. So here's how you're getting freedmans coming over here before, and Asians and stuff over here, and build more railroad tracks and stuff at this time, right? So a lot of interactions is going on with Native Americans, Africans that they're bringing, Arabs and Asians that they're bringing, and the relationship we're already dealing with Washishu, white man. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of that is going on at this time too. Like at this time, there's a lot of free man and free woman not liking what they're coming to do, thinking that it was promised something else before they got here and realize this is negative. A lot of people going even harder. So here's where you still get that energy seed from whatever spirit in any ethnicity, especially y'all free man. Y'all got to watch this. No matter they born here or not, they got the foreigner spirit too. They come in that same energy, tap dance. So it was a lot of free men at that time too, and Arabs. They don't even care that this is evil. They like, no, I won't land, just like white boys promising me. Yeah, fuck them Indians. Yeah, fuck them Indians. Y'all said that was a thing. That was a thing too. That was a thing too. All right? That was a thing too. We got Bruce Lee kicked upside the head with a few Asians too. You know what I'm saying? That was a thing too. You know what I'm saying? But now look. So you have to understand that within that context at that time. So when we get Indianapolis, this becomes the capital of Indian country. That includes Ohio. Right now, you just get them updating and separating it, but that includes Ohio, a little bit of Philadelphia, whatever. And then you get the main Jesuit saying, I run these Indians. The same way like they got rid of us Erie and Huron over here in Cleveland, right, in Ohio, and St. Clair. It was battling them and stuff like that. And the Cleveland dude, and then once they kind of downsized us and got us in control, they mixed us in with a bunch of the Cherokees and Catawbas and even Shawnees, blended them in with everybody, pushed everybody down to the Lenape, because it was really a lot of, Lenape did a lot of fucking. The Lenape did a whole lot of fucking. So a lot of our bands had Lenape family in it for like really almost, I don't want to say all, but on the East Coast, the main majority of almost all, like I say 75% of the tribes got a grandfather or something like that that's in the Lenape and shit. Like they did a whole lot of fucking. They fucked a lot of people in Canada. They felt like them men was fucking everybody on the land and country. The Lenape Indians was fucking everybody in the land and country. These cats was whores. These cats was whores. Oh, Sarah, they didn't even care about war like that. Oh, they cared about just spreading out and fucking. And making bands and extending the Algonquian language. That's all they gave a fuck about. And white boy didn't even like that when they came over here. So they made parts of the Haudenosaunee come up with this French and Britain remix Iroquois language to kind of combat and stop everything. So it could be, so they could understand everything. Like white boy want to understand everything, want to be in everybody business, understand everything. I said like, damn. Think about a time where we got windows, but it ain't no glass in it yet. That's even worse. White boy in it. Chata, in it. Like, at least we got windows now. I'm saying. Think about the Fort Tecumseh at a time. There ain't no windows. White boy in it. I like this. Oh, I said, damn. We never had it back since. Never got it back since. It probably got burnt down and replaced with some bricks now. You probably see one or two of the things I'm talking about in your local park. That's it. The end. Once upon a time, your local park was the cities. It was carved out in mounds, villages, goddamn long houses and shit like that. Where the streets at, but that's already, we already washed up, expanded, moved. Y'all know what I'm saying? So y'all don't know the life we live to understand the context of the flood in the Bible. It's deep. See, so let's get into the spiritual aspect, right? So this is what's on homeboy's mind and him, because they both in the Bible. Both of their names in the Bible too, if you don't know no better. Jeremiah. So this is what's on Jeremiah's mind, being a Jesuit, utilizing the masonry on us was really our practice. Masonry at this time is, how can we get along with y'all natives? That's what masonry is at this time. what I'm saying? What it is now is we are the natives of America. And it's just white boys. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you got now is masonry. But back in the day, we still kind of the main players, but in the middle of getting crushed in because it's our government versus their government. Walking Taco or Hey or however, you know what I'm saying? Versus their George Washington whenever they decide to switch it. I'm saying, like, whenever the first is Mary, then it's, you know what I'm saying, it's first is whenever they first is the crown, whenever they decide to switch it, you know what I'm saying, they just, whatever suit benefit, and they can wear whatever they updated it, whoever stole culture they took and put it on their jacket, they cavalry jacket as a sign of honor or badge of honor or something. You know what I'm saying, something like that. They probably got the whole country on one symbol, on one part of the jacket. You will never understand in that way. You won't understand it. You probably lost in all the other ones that's later on down the line. Once they just start dropping their dick, phallic religion everywhere. We already got the game sold up shit. That one part of the time, you know what I'm saying? But there's probably, you will find it. It'll be a small one. It got a party. Everything they took over one in constellation symbol. You know what I'm saying? They got each color pattern. You know what I'm saying? Y'all ain't spiritual like that. At this time, this when things, we understood things. We're like, okay, we got to work with the mind. We doing symbolism. Okay, we got to work with the physical. This what matters to us. You know what I'm saying? Even to us, we was even telling them, make us some guns and put a dragon on the side. This means I don't want no gun that ain't got nothing to do with my tribe. Because my tribe attached to my land with my spirit that's going to protect me more than a physical object. You know what I'm saying? Real shit. White man was like, I don't give a fuck about all that, man. You know what I'm saying? Real shit. But it was good deals at that time. Good deal. Good deals at that time. Shit, you know what I'm saying? You could be warm or you could look fresh in the summertime and we can have a gun and something like that you give us and shit like that. So you can have a fur in the wintertime. We can have a good gun with your print, with put a dragon on shit. We good. We in business. We in motherfucking business. You know what I'm saying? You ain't cold. We ain't shooting no arrow. We in business. You know what I'm saying? Real shit, man. We in real shit. Real shit. Now let's check this out. Now, but all right, so let's get into the spiritual aspect of it, right? To understand what was on Judaism. What the fuck is it now? I keep forgetting this goddamn Jeremiah mind and William Harrison mind. Well, William Harrison is dealt with, bitch, I'm the president. You know what I'm saying? And who was dealing with the business and stuff. So this is why Indianapolis, you would think is named after Jeremiah Sullivan. No, he was just the Jesuit saying, I'm the alien of these Indians, of Indiana land. I'm the alien of this motherland, because that the whole Indian country, Northwest Territory, right? That will be our portion of motherland, and the other egg cells is the other Native Americans from the East Coast to the West Coast to the Great Plains. Are you saying? Or even to Mexico. So for the most part, in that area, this who tried to be our alien, our president, and bring a magic square on us and put us in a parameter, and that's what we call it a city. So a city is a masculine, because you got to understand our language. It's still our language, but we had to start using city because anytime we had to see the cop, but when you're getting colonized, it's someone changing what we would call it, because we had even villages named different cities and stuff. Once they just colonize it and things of that nature, it gets into a city. But a city is just a land on a mini. So it'll be the masculine aspect of what a mini is. Mini is the water that flow on the land, mama land. And city is a consonant version of it. So that's what we used to consider as masculine when we're trying to blend our languages together, us interacting with the settlers. So a city be them trying to say, we're the men of y'all motherland. And their ideas is them saying their George Washington or their father or their God is running this. And their God got concepts up under it, like manifested destiny and shit like that. What takes us into this if you read the Bible. So in the Bible, right, Jerusalem becomes a religious center of Israel, replace Israel with Indians, or the first lights, the first real lights. So Israel is what they did over there, but learned that concept and the terminology and put the spiritual back in, interacting with us. Then go back and name it Israel. You get it? But whatever language that they were speaking, they was doing their own thing before it was even parametered up for you to even know what Africa is. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of the language itself that becoming a world language is purely white man interacting with Native Americans. Like literally, we kind of like run the world on that level when it comes to even understanding even the internal world for real. But listen, Jerusalem becomes the religious center of Israel after King David brings the Ark of the Covenant. That's a manifested destiny. So they're putting Native Americans in a covenant, a magic square, a city, a reservation, a territory, right? So Solomon is part of what they was already doing, but the term Solomon itself is a term that you had to blend in with us to understand how that term is made. So this is how we can understand. I can understand Solomon, but have my own understanding of it and switch the word a little bit, what it actually will be, and they will understand how it's like that based upon how we develop this interpreter pig gig language. And this is why you get this sense of the letter J coming later and all these places that they're saying that things happen in come after the fact, all the way to India and Indians, but them being colonized in the 1900s and them still speaking Arab, and then Hebrew coming after, and then Native Americans already having a version of that before the letter J and before the remix version of we got a similar spirituality. How we doing something first and already got the name, and something that come later is similar? No, I'm giving you the actual context. It's after they deal with us, they figured out a better way to colonize everybody else other than just slaughtering and killing. So they're creating Native Americans that they killed as caricatures. And then when you over exaggerate it and play it out on Earth, you could put that template over other people and then play other people's God. And then create a test. If the Native American really about that action, they should be able to say, I'm back. And everything we did, they should be able to say, wait, that's my language. Wait, that's my stuff. And if they can't do that, everything they was saying, as far as that spooky shit, is bullshit, and they God ain't saved them. And that's the template. That's the white man template at this point, to even be like, it's okay for me to be ignorant and play people's gods. Because what we did to the Native Americans, they made us believe it a little bit, but we still here, running shit in a property type of way though. See what I'm saying? This is what gets them lost a little bit. So every time we do come back, you have to still destroy mentally and even physically. So we still going through that to this day, but that's a different story. So when you get into the religious center, Jerusalem is what they brought over here to create the New Jerusalem with Jeremiah and William General in Indiana land, right? And called it Indianapolis, Indiana-Polis, the alien of the Indians over here. See what I'm saying? Just like Cleveland Indians. That's the Indians that do Cleveland rule. See what I'm saying? Cherokee Indians. That's the Indians that the Jesuit that came up with the name with the Coon Muskogee Creek rule. You know what I'm saying? You see how the colonizing name, it don't go back to the Indians and all the tribes that was mixed in together. Some was civilized and some just didn't want to be involved in shit like that. So you just become a walk-in nobody in some way, shape, or form on your own land. And them updating versions to make that happen by bringing more foreigners. You see how this thing start? So, Royal City. So, for the most part, like I said, Jerusalem becomes the religious center where these Jesuits of Israel come over here to bring and deal with is really us being Israel. And King David brings the Ark of the Covenant, manifested destiny, them believing that their God say so. And Solomon later builds the temple, solidifying the position as place of worship, aka Indiana will be the place that the settlers come over and worship, and the Native Americans, if they're civilized, they can worship. Now, Royal City. Jerusalem is established as Royal City of Israel, right? So that just became the capital of Indiana, Indianapolis, symbolizing God's chosen place, aka white boy thinking that I found this land, so it's mine, for his king to rule. Now, place of covenant. Jerusalem is linked to the covenant between God and Israel. Replace God with the title white man think he is, and Israel with Native American land. So Jerusalem, aka the white boy blending in with natives' lands and calling it Jew, is creating a covenant, manifested destiny. This is my territory to rule the Indians, between God and Israel, between white man and the Indians he's trying to rule. And with God promising to dwell, aka with white man promising to dwell there and to have his people gather there, bring more settlers. And now we're starting to get removed Native Americans now, because they don't want to get to our ways. When you get into history, they'll tell you Native Americans didn't want to get with their religion. They didn't have a religion. Their religion was colonizing and get with our property and let us rule you. And whatever your spooky shit is, we that. So we're going to call that God. You see what I'm saying? They don't believe none of that shit, though. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand the nuance to shit, or people will be practicing what they preach. Now, for the most part, because look, you can't see God and God motivates you. And if you was born on a land, that means you can't see God, God motivates you, and God gave you a land. If somebody try to play God, they should be trying to motivate people and also give them a land, not take it. So we see humans don't know how to do that. Well, so like I said, right? Now, prophetic visions. Jerusalem is a central theme in prophetic visions, with prophets foretelling a future where it will be a place of peace and blessing for the entire world. That's white man creating a psyop for me and Tiswatawa, or whatever the case may be, aka the Native Americans and the Shawnees and stuff like that, creating Prophet Town in Indiana. So when you're trying to become the chief head lord alien over Indiana and call it Indianapolis, the Indians that was there was making a confederation, and then what we was doing is doing vision quests and things of that nature, and saying there's going to be a great peace here for all Native Americans. So this is a way how white boy psyop Native American culture and put themselves there, yet you will never see them practice where they preaching. Then you will get confused in another layer. You would think these names is only tied to stories that happened over there in the Eastern continents. No, they're just using the same name that they just did slaughter in, and trying to do that over here. And then when you get the religious aspect to it, you're getting white boy taking what the Native Americans was doing and saying we was the ones doing it. But when you get into history, this is how you separate from the words and be like, oh, it's not Israel as far as Israel on the continent. It's white boy doing what they did in Israel and calling the Native Americans over here Israel and trying to bring some New Jerusalem over here. Oh, okay, I get it. So white boy is talking about what Native Americans are doing, but if you read it, it'll make us think this is what white boy is doing, yet it's the opposite what we see in reality when we come to practice what we preach. And when we actually go to the practices, the Native Americans is the ones practicing the things that they're claiming was going on in the Eastern continents that didn't. You see what I'm saying? This is how you make it make sense. You know what I'm saying? So that's how you understand. They never called Indians in India Indians. And it was that's just another psyop to get rid of Native Americans' history. And even get you confused on where the name Indian come from. So if you an Indian and you come and be like, Indian is just Christopher Columbus coming over here and he missed the wrong direction. This how the white boy look at you like you don't remember yourself. And you mix with more percentage scale of me being a white boy. You get it? They went deep with their manipulation. Like they went deep. For an example, they didn't come over here and we was calling ourselves Indian. It's us being the main players and more of us, and us was establishing a relationship. Interpret our pig-head language and say, hey, you could call us Indians. So this is why Indians signing peace treaties is agreeing to the term Indian. Not white boy to say, hey, we called y'all Indians because of Christopher Columbus and just all the Indian nations accept it. No. That's something we agreed to as men. You know what I'm saying? And it's our language itself. So look at it like this. We're already doing something with our own name without calling it Indian, without calling it hoodoo. White man come learn our ways. We come up with, well, hey, whatever y'all doing, what is this? So we can understand it. So we come to a conclusion. All right, call us Indians. All right, whatever this is, this hoodoo. White man take us over and try to rule over that template. Now hoodoo become voodoo. Now Indian become, hey, we about to colonize everybody else and call everybody in the world some type of native. That we colonize after the fact, dealing with these people we came up with these words with. You get it? It's a deep game how they tweet y'all. And you won't know it if you ain't got no native blood in you. You ain't got the eyeballs. You ain't got the skull to see it. Like you can't see it. You'll read it, be like, oh, you foreigner brain. You see what I'm saying? So prophetic vision is just talking about what we did in Prophet Town, right, in Indiana. Now, destiny. This is manifested destiny. The Bible emphasizes that Jerusalem is destined to be the place, manifested destiny, of internal importance with God's kingdom, aka white boy's kingdom, and the Messiah's rule that originated there, aka taking our system and doing a remix version of it to civilize it. And then we don't want to get along with their version of civilizing our shit, then they just get rid of us or puts us into what we're calling today as reservations. You know what I'm saying? So for the most part, now, oh shit, what I do? So when you get into the place of Jesus' ministry, this is them building the Catholic churches and stuff like that, right? Jesus visits Jerusalem. That's them playing a god, playing Gizus, because the OG boy, they got colonized too to even be OG boy as a band of tribes from the Anishinaabe, but it's a band of tribes. You see what I'm saying? And once they get colonized, they got that J in it. Where is a J? Where is a C? Catawba, Navajo, Ojibwe, you know what I'm saying? Chickasaw. We was colonized. And it was a lot of bands that wasn't named that. A lot of tribes that wasn't named that came together that was different names based off our confederations and shit. Right? But when you got someone who colonized us, they name us. So to the white boy, it's, hey, these your Indians. Get a hold of your Indians. You don't got enough scouts. You don't know what's going on with them. Hey, get them in control. So that become the Chickasaw Indians, that whatever Jesuit was ruling all those bands coming together and us coming up with the name together. But here's where you get that consonant. Us, we understood what we was doing when we say, okay, this is a city now. Okay, it's not this now, it's Cherokee now. You see what I'm saying? So for the most part, or it's not this now, it's Catawba. You know what I'm saying? Based on all the tribes that was there. But now you got place of resurrection, where they're resurrecting their dead God that they did in the Eastern continents and trying to do that over here, resurrect their Jesus over here, teach their Jesus word, their government. So Jesus is resurrected in Jerusalem over here, further highlighted its significance, like just worshiping the government in a religious way. Now it's future return of Jesus. The New Testament prophesies that Jesus will return to rule from Jerusalem. So they already did that. The New Testament is them doing what they did in the Eastern continents over here to us Native Americans. And once they established and Americans is ruling now, this is their Jesus, their Christianity being in the Americas now. You get it? So their Jerusalem is over here now. Jesus preached the word over here now. This is the concept of it. The white boy created. But Jesus wouldn't even be spiritual without understanding our Jesus. So that's why every time you hear an allegory of Jesus, he in front of the sun. Anytime you go into the church, all the angels is white boys. It's them taking the Native American culture and saying, we're your God. So we're going to be the images of y'all star concept, cosmo concept. We're going to replace it with our faces. We even going to make goddamn human cartoons called Teletubby. And then you're going to see a little white boy baby in the sun. You know what I'm saying? Then you're going to see Jesus in front of everywhere you go. You're going to see the white man with y'all shit on this soil. You get it? So the return of Jesus really mean the white boy hearing a lot of Native Americans bitching and complaining with their peace pipe, trying to bring Native Americans that even before me, coming back like me. This ain't a new thing this ain't a new thing to the white boy. You know what I'm saying? This is why they trying to get more spiritual to themselves. Like, hey, we could do that too. Why we ain't doing it right? So you get these deep Masonic books now, or Golden Dawn books and shit. You know what I'm saying? It's really just trying to learn what the fuck is the Native American doing. They keep saying I'm back, no matter how much they coming back and blending in. What's making their gene outweigh other genes and shit like that? What is this? Like, I don't know. Is it got something to do with the land for real? People can't be born out the air. Make people think we all came from somewhere that you still got to come out the air, but just not anything. Like, you know what I'm saying? They really think like this. This is how they really think. They used to eat us. They literally used to eat us. We used to get ate. We used to get made for like type of clothing, leathers, and ate all kind of shit. Shit deep, right? But foreigner, alien, that's where that comes from. So all movies about aliens is this white boy praising colonizing. You know what I'm saying? And them coming from a foreign land. So when a white boy even know that they lying when they try to remix saying that they native here, right? So what's the whole concept of foreigner there? So this is where you get foreign policy. Foreign policy is what British established for their little brothers, England and the Pilgrims. Then everybody else who wanted to get involved with that, seeing that this was the new world, tried to do the business that the Pilgrims started to establish that Britain allowed them to do, right? So here's where you get it ain't about them going to war. It's about creating a system to make the civilians go to war so they can stay supreme and don't be losing their race because they made a mistake with mixing with everybody. So they're trying to get that back because they realize they're not making everybody light. They actually, the only people becoming dark. So, and then the spirits that's mixed ain't taking the side of the spirit, mind, and the physical gene. And they learn it after these decades of mistakes. They're like, damn, every Native American, we try to mix and get rid of the men and cherish the young child. The DNA is more on a percentage scale of the Native American now. Let's try to do it with the free man. Damn, it's doing it with the free man now. We're doing it. Let's do it with the Arab. Let's doing it with them. But then in the middle of this, they're bringing all of these people over here doing it. And now, as the Arab, Asian, free man mixing with us Native Americans, is creating another problem. Another superhuman. Now you're getting this Seminole shit and Puerto Ricans and shit and all this other shit. Now they have to be like, damn, we need Mexicans or something like this. So it gets this weird shit like, wait a minute. This not going as planned. We're losing something. We're losing ourselves. So now we just at a point right now where they have to kind of work with themselves now because we went so far down the line. They're trying to catch back up being in the behind end. So you see it in forms of needing other ethnicities to be the face of news networks, needing other ethnicities to be the face of sports, needing other ethnicities because they did all this with us Native Americans first, realized that's flunked out. Did it with all the first freedmen they brought over here and realized that's flunked out. And now it's just in a testing run right now. Foreigners. And just not knowing how to reverse what they did. So you get this coping mechanism, changing history to make it seem like, well, someone else was just as bad. And if that don't work, change history to make it seem like they was the good guys. And then if that don't work, let's just get rid of history itself and burn books. And if that don't work, it's like, it's just a lot of shit y'all don't know. Like, it's deep though. It's deep. But, yeah, we're an hour in. Shit, let me get prepared for an open panel tonight. We want to do open panel because I do need to get back on the road and shit. And get my I keep forgetting to get my tires because I ain't do no long traveling yet, so I feel like I'll have to get my tires spent. But I do need to go and get all that, get my oil changed, my tires spent, and all that shit. But yeah. So you got to look at it within that concept because these things is practiced physically, and esoterically means the mentality we're developing on these things, and spiritually means the space that the mentality was sparked in the first place. And this allows us to understand literary history and spiritual middle history that I created, where you could be acting out a mental concept, a seed that already pre-existed, and other spirits, aka spiritually, already created the esoteric concept of it mentally and acted it out physically as you start to be the descendants of that and act out the same qualities, whether you remember the time frame or not. Because before we was even human, we're doing this in the mind, and the spirits is creating the mind. So it become the atmosphere and the environment itself. So whatever you're native to, you're always going to be there. And when you get lost, it take you a while to get back home. That's what hell come from. Ye hellel. And you can only be lost in yourself first, then self-reflect, and then self-project. And then we start to get on the percentage scale of how extreme that is, whether it's just the next area, the next continent, the next desire, however the case may be. And then that'd be your little understanding, the psychosystem of, I'm trying to tell y'all how to do it in an absolute way. The washing machine cycle on how to truly experience the holy people and the holy ones. They even plagiarize that. If you read something in the Bible talking about holy people, right now it's just the white boys taking our culture, calling themselves Jews, and you think you're reading about Jews in the Bible. But no, it's really talking about us being the Native Americans, and a lot of us who is trying to accept peace is us developing that pig-head language that become Hebrew or Jew, and then we was walking around actually being the Jew tribes. It's really just talking about the civilized tribes that allowed the Jesuit to run us. So any Jesuit that mix with us, the seeds of that will be the lost tribes, whatever the case may be, because they don't remember themselves. They somewhere right now saying this, even if they got a lot of Native American in them. That's like 80% of them. They got a lot of Native American in them. Like me, they just might get more Irish. On the East Coast, you might got more African. You might got the 25% African or the 25% Asian, the 25% Arab. West Coast, you got the 25% Irish Spangler or 25%, especially down get to the Caribbeans and Florida. This is making y'all Puerto Ricans and stuff, and mixing in with the Indians. You got that 25% Spangler man, 25%. You see what I'm saying? So that's what's making us all vary. But you can't be mixed with nothing else but Native American if you're more on a percentage scale. Now, you could be the other way around since you've been over here long enough, but it might be just 25 and lower Native American and more of the other shit. You know what I'm saying? The more mixture, the more indecisive you are, spiritually, mentally, and physically. So you could be more relatable, but more indecisive. And then it cancel each other out, where your indecisiveness start to relatable start to be appear negative. So you have to do things and find something to stand on because you're always in this washing machine cycle. So you're going to have to find something to stand on eventually. You not having something to stand on eventually turns into a weakness. Right? So, for the most part, it's based upon the atmosphere and the environment bends in and become the aspects of the sun and the moon travel that be the environment itself. And if you're native to the land, that's why you have that tongue. For an example, if y'all believe the white boy, because he replacing everybody's history to mix it in. This is why he trying to make y'all think he from Africa first, he from here first, y'all aliens first. They are actually aliens. This foreign everybody. You got to understand it like this. If everybody actually from Africa, and when I say that, I'm not saying everybody, if you born in America, they lied to you about saying there's an out of Africa theory. This is what makes them play on y'all mind and create some out of America theory and that fake ass Aboriginal shit. That don't make no sense. Make things simple. If everybody from Africa, everybody will have an African tongue. Everybody don't have African tongue. Arabs and the Negro tribes over there have the African tongue. When you get to Asia, they have that tongue. The Arab and the Asian coming in the middle, here's where you get Hindus, India. They have the Arab or the Asian tongue. When you get over here, you have the native tongue. When you get to England, they have the England tongue. How is y'all separating that from the land and the nature? That's like me saying, right? If the white man ain't come over here and talk to us Native Americans to be like, hey, y'all ain't born out of thin air. That's like me saying, well, what make the polar bear different than the koala bear or the panda bear? The white boy gonna have to say geographical location. So I don't get it. How's we? The tongue, the spots, everything about the polar bear makes it different than the panda bear. Yet they're bears. What's making them different? The geographical location. So that's like the white boy trying to make an argument like, well, all bears is from Africa. No, it ain't. How the panda bear getting lost in Alaska? You see what I'm saying? Like, that don't make sense. It don't make sense in life. Whatever we can see now and every day, God got something to do with it. If it's something we can't see happen every day and a human had to tell you it happened, but whatever happened, it's some once in a blue moon type shit, some human did that. God wasn't involved with that shit. So you could put that in a box of asteroids, meteorites. I said all that shit. But when it comes to different geographical locations and that animal only could be born there, hey, you a human. Ain't you a animal? That explains why you got your phenotype in your tongue. If you mixed at the moment, we got history that speaks for what colonization did. Now you know it's all about percentage scale. All right. Don't everything make more sense to you now? And I love all y'all from the bottom of my heart. We're going to for open panel. We're going to talk about the sun and Gemini in this bitch. Flight boss, bitch, you know, for sure. I love all y'all from the bottom of my heart. Flight boss, bitch. You're now listening to the Mind of an Antares Moon. I'm the Royal Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry our God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And I'm Uria, because you're in New Worldia, the land of New Worldians. You know what I'm saying? So at this point, if you mixing shit, don't let me get y'all, let me start having more kids and shit like that. The world is the New Worldians for real again. Y'all got New Worldian blood in y'all. Y'all said that's it. And then now let's keep track of it. Let's start writing down things on a piece of paper too. Let's start writing shit down on a piece of paper too. You know what I'm saying? Real shit.